The guillotine is a machine invented by Antoine Louis and was introduced to France by Dr. Joseph Ignace Guillotin in the early 1790s. Guillotin thought that other means of capital punishment were far too severe and thought that the guillotine was a much more humane option because it sped up the process and it was over quickly. Previously, execution by decapitation had been reserved for only nobles. Other classes endured the more severe forms of execution. Guillotin lobbied for the guillotine for this reason. The guillotine soon became the primary symbol of the Reign of Terror during the French Revolution because it took so many lives. The guillotine is important to the French Revolution because the peasants were fed up with the upper class for many reasons, so it became a spectacle and a form of entertainment for many people to watch the deaths by guillotine routinely. Some groups would even attend the beheadings daily. According to the guillotine during the French Revolution, vendors sold souvenirs and pamphlets to bystanders, and there was a restaurant called the Cabaret de la Guillotine that spectators visited after watching the beheadings. However, not everyone enjoyed this form of entertainment. Ironically, revolutionists who ordered the beheadings of nobles eventually faced the same fate at the end of the Reign of Terror. In Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities, the perils of the French Revolution become evident. The novel connects characters' lives to aspects of the time period. The guillotine especially affects Sidney Carton, who eventually faces his fate there. The guillotine helps Carton prove that his negative attitude has changed because it represents a pivotal change of his character. Earlier in the novel, his attitude was very negative and he was really self-absorbed. His fate at the guillotine and the sacrifices he makes there redeem himself and prove his good heart. But before this, earlier in the novel, he calls himself a disappointed drudge, saying he cares for no man on earth and no man on earth cares for him. This is taken from a scene where Carton and Darnay are drinking, and it is a great example of how negative Carton's attitude was at the beginning of the novel. However, later in the novel, the guillotine helps Carton disprove this statement, displaying his deep care for those he loves, contradicting when he said he cares for no man on earth, and he will go on to prove that he especially cares for Lucy Manette. Carton and Darnay both had feelings for Lucy, but Carton had a heartfelt conversation with Lucy where his change of heart began to become evident. Carton explained to Lucy that although he loved her, he knew that they would not be right for each other, so she should be with Darnay. Lucy notices he has changed, saying he was so unlike what he had ever shown himself to be. Carton tells Lucy that he would do anything for her, which reappears more literally when Carton swaps places with Darnay at the guillotine and literally embraces any sacrifice for Lucy. Carton's death at the guillotine proves that he has had a complete change of character since the beginning of the novel, when he had an extremely negative attitude towards those around him. His selfless act at the guillotine establishes his newfound compassion and love, especially for Lucy. In his death, Lucy and Darnay can live. The guillotine is essential because it is the means by which Sidney Carton carries out his sacrifice. Without the guillotine, this opportunity to sacrifice, he would not have had the outlet to prove that he has completely changed. Before he dies, Carton quotes a Bible verse symbolizing life and death and how in his death his loved ones live. Carton ends by saying, "It is a far, far better thing to do than I have ever done. It is a far, far better rest than I go to than I have ever known," emphasizing his change in character because this is clearly not something he would have done at the beginning of the novel. He ends his life in a very moral way, almost silently sacrificing his life because very few people know that he has switched places with Darnay. Overall, the guillotine impacts Sidney Carton's change of heart because originally he had a very negative attitude. Through loving Lucy from afar, he gained compassion and went from caring for no man on earth to giving his life selflessly for those he loved. The guillotine symbolizes the confirmation of Carton's change in character because it was his final action and sacrifice. Thanks for watching.